Here we are looking at the Isenheim altarpiece. We've opened the panels further to reveal the interior sculptural elements. Now, the interior sculpture was done not by Matthias Grunwald. This was completed later in the 1500s. So we're just going to not look at that right now. Instead, I want to call your attention to the side panels. The side panels are the moments in the life of St. Anthony, which would make sense, again, because this is a hospital of St. Anthony, which specializes in the treatment of St. Anthony's fire. And let's look at this specific panel called the Temptation of St. Anthony. Here we are with this detail. The temptation of St. Anthony is spoken about within the Bible. St. Anthony's attempt to remove himself from temptation. Temptations being desires that will distract him from his faith. And he goes into the desert. Now, he also is then plagued by these temptations. And here, Matthias Grunwald has represented them with these monstrous ghouls, these horrific creatures. And when we look at them, I mean, they are so crazy and bizarre. The entire scene is meant to horrify you and to then appreciate the strength of Anthony's faith and his preservation of faith in the face of really a nightmare. Now, the temptation is another common depiction within art, but in this one, Matthias Grunwald not only gives us these fantastical creatures with hawk heads and pig snouts and horns and feathers, and I mean, it's just awful and disgusting, just grotesque. But he also gives us this figure here. Let's see, zoom in on him. If we were alive in the 1500s, we would really be able to connect with this figure. Yes, they are some kind of humanoid monster with, fishy frog legs, and they've fallen into this corner, bloated, a rotting corpse. But they wear a hooded cape. This type of hooded cape was a type of garment that you would have commonly worn called a chaperon. And a chaperon is a cape with a hood that in the hot summer you would put that hood up to shield your face, give you shade. It's a form of sun protection. And then in the winter you could tie it up, and then it would be a form of insulation, keeping you warm from the winds and the cold weather. So he wears a chaperon, like us. And then he's holding in his hand a book. See that? I know you're thinking, Miss Cortez, it doesn't really look like a book. No. So books at this time were very treasured objects, and not many people could read. A lot of people could not read. Very few people could read. So these books, these treasured objects for these treasured few, would be carried around, and a way to make a book more portable would be to add this long fabric or animal skin cover. And the animal skin cover, the fabric cover, would stretch down the book so that you could then loop it around like a belt. Not like a belt, on your belt. On your belt. You could then loop it through your belt. Let me get a book. And then here, this is my daughter's old blankets. Got a book here. And then you were to attach, let me get this nice and big. You were to attach the book, or it's like the fabric, to your book. So you got your book, you got your fabric, right? Then you're gonna wrap it. wrap it so that the book is completely covered. So you've protected your book, all the pages inside. There would usually be some kind of a clasp here, and then you have a protected book, and the excess fabric you would then knot on your belt loop or attach to your belongings on your wagon or wherever, and then it would become much more portable. It's kind of like a little backpack, right? All of that, I know I'm getting off on all this Renaissance medieval stuff, but all of that to say we would totally recognize that. So now back to the image, and why would Matthias Grunewald include this figure here? I'm asking you. Why would Matthias Grunewald include this bloated corpse here? The corpse is suffering from St. Anthony's fire. It's us. Or a fear of what we are, or what we can be, or what our mother, our father, our aunt, our uncle, our best friend will be. So it's another way for Grunewald to intensify the emotion. I mean, in addition to it already being crazy intense, right? So let's think about this in terms of a Renaissance work of art. Characteristics such as atmospheric perspective, yes, 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 and linear perspective, no, not really, but we do have some sense of perspective happening here. You see that? Okay, okay. What else? Chiaroscuro, yeah, yeah. Highlights, shadows of a figure. We have gestures, focusing, telling you where to look. Yeah, okay, okay. How is this characteristic of Northern European art? Intensity of emotion and hyper detail. The hyper detail in these monsters, I mean, it is like, you got like chicken skin and plucked feathers, and then you have these like bat wings and like drool and thorns and razor sharp teeth. I mean, it's just, wow, hyper detail. Okay, let's look at another panel from the altarpiece.